Hello, thank you for being here. I'm Sonia Atencia, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Hasler Iglesias, a research and development technician in the Environment Department at the Technological Center of Energy and Environment, CETENMA. This center is a private non-profit business association established to support research, development, and technological innovation for companies. They are also a registered technological center, a research transfer office, and a training entity. We are going to talk about artificial intelligence, new technologies, and its impact in the environment. Thanks for coming, Mr. Hasler.
Thank you for having me.
To get started, what is the role of new technologies and artificial intelligence in dealing with environmental issues?
Yes, well, the environment is in need of us taking care of it. And actually, there are lots of data, lots of information, lots of uses of technology that can be useful for that. From taking care of water courses to biodiversity to climate change and temperature controls, all of these are interconnected. And sometimes the climate and environment is such a complex system that for a person or a group of persons, of people alone, it can be hard to manage all the data. And there is where artificial intelligence plays a key role, helping us to understand and to manage huge amounts of information that are interconnected all the time and interacting between them to find solutions to the problems we have today.
Oh, very interesting. Thank you. And are there any real examples where artificial intelligence helps to protect the environment, like stopping fires or saving water in farming? And could you give one example, maybe from CETENMA problem?
Yeah, for sure. Artificial intelligence today is being used, for example, in water treatment plants to measure all specific parameters of the water, of the pollutants, of the flow. Also, one of our projects is here in Cartagena in the Bosque Romano, in the Roman forest. We have installed a set of sensors that are every time measuring, for example, the pollutants of the air, with the intention of verifying if the plantation of these new trees are helping to reduce the pollution. Also, these sensors are helping us to measure if people are actually going to this green space to enjoy it, to have activities and sport, because if we move people there, they will be more attentive and take care of this environment we are taking care of. So these sensors are helping us to understand when air pollutants are higher or lower, or whether these trees are actually helping to this, which is a huge way, not just planting it and hoping for them to work, but actually verifying if they work and how to make them work better. Some other example, more in the enterprise side, is a European project we are working on. It's called BioRadar, and we are assessing the environmental impact of a set of products that are being produced today in Europe. And this data is being then processed by a partner who are based in Barcelona, and they are going to make some models to predict whether these products can be helpful or damage the environment, and a new product can behave like these ones or different. So it helps most of all for predicting the environmental behavior of these products. And these are two examples of what we're doing in CETENMA, but I think today almost any company or even environmental agency in the world are starting or are already using artificial intelligence to make decisions that before weren't possible to make because we didn't have any data.
On the other hand, is it known that some artificial intelligence models use a lot of energy? Can you explain how it affects the environment? Are there other negative effects on artificial intelligence that we don't usually notice?
Yeah. Well, I would say the two main problems humanity is going to face regarding environment, perhaps three. The first of them is climate change and the rise of temperatures, but the two others are energy consumption and water use. Because when you see to the planet, lots of it is it's water, but actually a tiny part of it is water ready to be used by humans, or fresh water. Regarding artificial intelligence specifically, these systems generate lots of heat, so they need to be cooled. And to cool these systems, you use lots of water. And this is water we are not using for human consumption, we are not using for plantations, we are not using for anything else, but just for cooling a system. This water then it's evaporated into the atmosphere. So the thing is, water is a problem all over the place. We have seen, for example, here in Spain, how certain regions have had to import water from other countries even, because here we have a scarcity of water. So this is a problem to take account of, to be aware of. Also, on the other hand, there are regions that are so rich in water that we could better place or locate this kind of developments to have the lower impact on environment as possible, from the side of water, which is basically used for cooling systems. And then energy, these AI systems also consume lots of energy. Even there are some companies, some big companies, proposing to install their own small nuclear reactors to provide the energy for this system. So this gives us a sense of if an AI building needs a private energy plant to work, it gives us a sense of how much energy they consume. So, and today we are consuming energy from fossil fuels, and renewables are on the rise, but aren't still the majority of at least of the world energy consumption. So it makes no sense to burn fossil fuels to have artificial intelligence, and on top of that consume lots of water. So this, we have to find ways to have the benefits of artificial intelligence without generating these different negative effects on environment.
Um, if artificial intelligence is part of the climate problem, can it also be part of the solution? How can we find a balance?
Yeah, well, I mean, the balance is still to be found. I think the most important thing is to make technology advancements on these technologies for the people who are developing not only the programming and let's say the front end of the artificial intelligence, but actually how the electronic part works, how it or make it more energy efficient, make it more temperature efficient, with in turn would cost it to consume less water, um, and try to also locate it better where it can generate the fewer impacts. For example, in a water-rich region with a high renewable energy production, these artificial intelligence would have a much more little impact than if you put these same servers in a water scarce region with high fossil fuels energy production, for example. So these are key decisions that have to be made, not only how profitable is it going to be, or these normal business decisions, but also about location and surrounding environments. And from the side of the benefits, artificial intelligence, well, we have already spoke about some of them. It's the possibility of reduce the time that a human team would take for processing data, for making decisions. It's even allowing to predict things in advance, to have some indicators that can tell you this may happen with this percentage of possibility. For humans, making these kind of calculations takes lots of time, and even not only for humans. I mean, for computers that are not using artificial intelligence, it takes lots, because they all at the same time need a human working on them. So there's also this improvement in efficiency, in prediction or forecasting, and yeah, and reducing the charge on humans again, but leaving humans make the decisions, and artificial intelligence provide this information. That today, I think we are not already at that point. Today, artificial intelligence may make some mistakes because of the data they use. So there's always important the use of the human receiving the information, being critical about this information, being able to identify if there is any mistake, and if there is a mistake, to solve it on time. So this, I mean, it's a complex system, but I think AI is indeed a step forward in our technology evolution, and we need to solve these other problems to be able to use it to its best point.
Thank you. What new technologies do you think are the most useful to fight climate change from a technical and realistic point of view in the next few years?
Yeah, for example, other things we do at CETENMA is that we help municipalities to forecast how their climate and environment conditions are going to be in the year 2100. So we're talking about 75 years in advance. And this is done through data collection and artificial intelligence and mathematical models and lots of informatics and mathematics at the end. But this is helping, for example, city mayors or city councils to begin making the decisions that are going to allow that our climate and our environment is a safe place to live, is a safe place to thrive, and that the people who are going to be in the year 2100 may have a life conditions perhaps similar to us or even better to us regarding climate and environment. So I think regarding climate and environment, the best advantage artificial intelligence has is that it gives us the assurance that we are making the right decisions, that we are not gambling. Okay, well, I think if we do this, it's going to be better. And we have seen in history that sometimes those decisions doesn't deliver the results they were expected to deliver. So AI helps us to make decisions with a better level of, or a reduced level of uncertainty, and being more certain that if we apply this public policy, it's going to generate these results we are expecting in the long term.
Is CETENMA working on a new project using artificial intelligence or new technologies for dealing with environmental challenges? Could you tell us about one?
Yeah, well, I have told you about several of them. I have two more, for example. In CETENMA, we have a unit of biorefinery, which is processing biomass or biological materials or products, most of them which are waste streams, and to use chemistry to transform this waste in useful products. So one of these examples is that we are using a bacteria to transform the cotton, the waste cotton from textiles, into proteins useful for animal feeding, actually. So the thing is that when you're working with bacteria, there are live things that are working on themselves. It's not a chemical that you know if you put this amount, it's going to have this effect. Bacteria have different behaviors. Perhaps one day they eat more, they eat less, they produce more or produce less. So we have been collecting this data of how these bacteria transform the cotton onto proteins, and then using artificial intelligence to identify which are the best conditions for these bacteria to work. So it's also helping us to, well, this is being done at this time in our laboratories, in a laboratory scale. But if we find the good conditions for these bacteria to work, let's say, and then are able to scale this up, this would mean that all the cotton waste in the world, or part of it, could be processed using these bacteria. That is not, I mean, the good thing about bacteria is that they are not chemicals, they are not fossil-based. We don't have to go to a mine to extract something to obtain these bacteria. We can even grow these bacteria in our laboratory. So it's really sustainable to work with bacteria instead of other things, synthetic things. And yeah, the artificial intelligence is actually the thing that is helping us to model the behavior of these bacteria and to make the decision of whether to go one way or another.
The last question, in your opinion, how can we make sure that the use of artificial intelligence is really sustainable and beneficial in the long term?
Well, we need here lots of efforts of the scientific community, those who are developing the models of artificial intelligence, not thinking only on making the best efficient system ever, but actually being sure that this best efficient system ever is good with the environment, that it is not causing us more problems than it solves. Also from the side of politicians and public authorities, to find the balance of, promoting innovation, but also having a regulation that makes this innovation positive overall for humanity, including for environment, and not only regulations that are restraining the innovations and the development. So there's always two sides of the coin, right? Whether we regulate too much and stop innovation, or whether to regulate too little and this innovation may have negative results. And from the side of users is again being thoughtful about what we're using, being thoughtful of the impact we are causing on environment as a result of every search or of every application of technology. Also trying to demand more from the producers of these technologies. Where if I mean, most of these AI tools that are openly available, they have free versions, for example, but on the scenario that we would have to pay, it would be more advantageous to pay for a system that we can be sure that is making efforts on being sustainable, rather than paying for the one that doesn't care anything about the environment. So our decisions also has an impact on how business behave, on how public authorities make decisions, and also on how scientific community and technology developers make their research priorities on what to devote more time and resources or less.
Thank you for everything. It has been a pleasure talking to you.
No, thank you. The pleasure is mine.